We're on our way to the next exciting adventure of the trip, which is the Rocky Mountaineer train trip through the Rocky Mountains to Banff National Park. This is going to be an exciting couple of days. Our Hawaii group boards with great anticipation. Bye-bye. As the train travels along, we have the services of a host on board who is going to narrate the trip and tell us all about it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on board Rocky Mountaineer Rail Tours for our two-day all-daylight adventure. Today we're traveling from Vancouver through to Kamloops, and then tomorrow from Kamloops up to Banff National Park, and our train continues on to Calgary. My name is Jennifer, and I will be looking after you for the full two-day trip. So you'll return to the same coach, same seats both days.
It's a ritual departure as the entire company turns out to bid us a happy trip. We're on our way, riding the rails through Western Canada. It's a very comfortable train. As we leave the city behind, we're going to have lots and lots of beautiful countryside to enjoy. And between Jennifer and myself, we're going to describe the whole thing for you. This is Dennis Callan for Hawaii Geographic Society's World Traveler, taking you through the Canadian Rockies by train. We're riding along on the Rocky Mountaineer. This is a beautiful train service that goes from Vancouver right through the heart of the Rocky Mountains in Canada, all the way to Banff. It's a two-day journey. We stop halfway at Kamloops and spend the night at a hotel, and then we continue on the way. It's a trip that combines great visual beauty and relaxing and strolling about the train and talking with friends, along with learning a lot about the history and the environment.
Lumber mills are something you're going to see quite a lot of on our two-day trip because forestry is the #1 industry in British Columbia. That's where a lot of the economy comes from. The forestry industry, followed by tourism, mining, and fishing, all very important in this province. And so we know we have a lot of forest. Over 50% of the land in BC is covered with forest. Many different types of trees we'll see over the 2 days. And we'll also see a lot of towns that are supported by the logging industry. Okay. Other kinds of trees we can look out for include pine trees later on today. Primarily the ponderosa pine is quite a different looking tree. The fir trees, lodgepole pine, cedar, the maple, aspen, birch. So quite a variety, and that's going to change this afternoon when there are very few trees and we reach the pocket desert of Canada. Hope is considered then the gateway to the beautiful and historic Fraser Canyon. And historic, one of the reasons why is because gold was discovered in the canyon in 1858. And that brought many people from across Canada and the United States as well, traveling overland, hoping that they would be able to settle in this area and find gold themselves. So this was the gold rush route, and primarily the decade of the 1860s were the boom years for the small towns of the Fraser Canyon. And the Hudson's Bay owned a lot of the land across Canada and set up fur trading posts along the river because they were trading in beaver fur. Beaver fur hats, a fashion of the day. And nowadays primary industry includes logging and tourism. Some of the logging they do in this area is called SPF, spruce, pine, and fir. So we make our way here up the Fraser Canyon, and we will be at the end of this subdivision in another 35 miles, and then we're going to be having lunch at that time. But before that, I'll be talking to you about the Hell's Gate area, which is the most popular tourist attraction on the canyon. So we see a change also in the scenery when we get into the canyon here, and we leave that wide open vast farmland and enter the narrow waterway of the Fraser Canyon, where we travel up one side of the canyon wall. So this is a really beautiful area of the trip. The river is narrower and a little bit speedier as well. We don't see any river rafters on this part of the Fraser River.
But we will show you some river rafters on our second day up the Kicking Horse River on the way to Banff. There's a number of tunnels that we go through, and the train clings precariously to the cliff's edge. You can even stand in the doorway and look out the window.
I will be starting the lunch service from the front of the coach. So first I'll distribute your serviette and cutlery. 2 choices each day in red leaf service for lunch. All our meals are served chilled with the main entree, bread roll, salad, and dessert. Your choices today are salmon or chicken.
The food was quite tasty, and it kept on coming. There's breakfast, a mid-morning snack, and then lunch and an afternoon snack. A nice part of our experience.
This area is Cisco, where both railroads cross the river at the same point, is because really very simply there's not enough room for more than one railroad on one side of the canyon wall, particularly between competing rail lines. So Canadian Pacific, this line here being the first ever around, could choose whichever side they wanted to build on. There wasn't anything else here. And when the Canadian National Railroad came along, they were just forced to go on the opposite side in all cases. So if CP crossed over, the CN did the same. So they run same route, but opposite sides of the rivers all the way between Vancouver and Kamloops.
So these 2 separate rail companies were in direct competition with each other, Canadian Pacific and Canadian National, and they both carried passengers and freight. Competition from jet planes in the 1960s nearly wiped out the passenger rail business, but in 1978, Via Rail consolidated the 2 lines and tried to enhance the passenger service once again in coast-to-coast service. This continued through the 80s, but by 1990, they were having problems, so decided to privatize the service. This is when Rocky Mountaineer took over with the leadership of Peter Armstrong, and they've been pampering the passenger ever since. People have rediscovered the beauties of rail travel. The Rocky Mountaineer has returned us to a more relaxed time where the journey was as important as the destination. It's really a comfortable train trip, and on board we have the services of the crew who's going to take care of us and feed us and tell us stories about the scenery that we're going by. There's an open air section of the train where you can stand if you like and get some really good photographs, or just sit back and relax, do a little snoozing if you like, and enjoy the scenery.
They'll do a slow roll by Pyramid Falls here, a 300-foot waterfall visible on the left-hand side of the train. It's right next to the track. And beautiful picture opportunity on the left-hand side. And the Thompson River Canyon, of course, full of sandstone and clay cliffs, some hoodoos visible as we work our way towards Ashcroft and beyond. And then we'll be alongside the Thompson River, a river that's got plenty of whitewater, one of the favorite rivers in central interior here for whitewater rafting and kayaking. And of course, our second river of travel today, later on, we will access onto the Fraser River. We will view the Fraser River once it has coursed its way through the province of British Columbia.
So the climate here is colder and drier in wintertime, hotter and drier in summertime. In fact, this year not even as dry as usual, so normally it wouldn't even be this green. But it's been quite a mild season so far. We've had a fair bit of rain this summer, and seems like summer a little late coming, but it's a beautiful day out there, and you'll probably notice when we get into Kamloops quite a bit warmer when you step outside of the coach. Again, I'd like to remind you to take your personal belongings with you. Watch your step on the way down at the front of our coach on the right, and have a wonderful evening in Kamloops. Enjoy the sunshine, get a good night's rest.
So we spend the night in Kamloops. Buses take us to our hotels, and we have a relaxing evening, and then the next morning it's back on board the train to continue our journey.
We're going to be departing Lawrence Street Station, heading eastbound and following alongside the South Thompson River. We'll follow the South Thompson. It'll be on our left-hand side until we reach the Shuswap Lakes. And today, all day, we're traveling with Canadian Pacific Railway line, the first ever completed cross-Canada railway.
The rail line was completed in 1885. And as we leave Kamloops, we see some of the prettiest scenery on the trip, a beautiful reflection in the calm morning waters of the hills and the fields beyond. The water is shining like a silver mirror.
Okay, shortly I'll be coming through with our breakfast, coffee, tea, and juice service.
The meals and the overnight hotel are all included in the price of the tour, so it makes everything very convenient. You don't have to worry about what to order or where to find your next meal. It's all brought to you in the comfort of your seat. And morning's always a good time to catch up on your newspaper.
And this lake system has over 1,000 kilometers or 600 miles of shoreline. So it's a pretty big area, and we follow along the southern shoreline. This part beside us now called the Little Shuswap. In contrast with the Kamloops Lake we followed yesterday afternoon, this is a very popular area for people to go on their summer holiday or for weekends away. It's just an hour and a half drive east of Kamloops, and people love to swim, houseboat, water ski, fish. On the Shuswaps there's lots of campsites, cabins, and many people retire to this area as well. Pleasant for swimming, clean lake, lots of fish. We're very fortunate with the parks available to us here in Canada, and if you enjoy the outdoors, there's plenty of opportunity for people in this area to get out into the wilderness, see the wildflowers, see the animals. The parks are protected areas. There's great trail systems and camping and hiking available. So many people travel across the country on the Trans-Canada and stop and visit these national parks, just like the early guests did on the first passenger railways in the end of the 1800s.
And that's certainly what we're looking forward to do as we approach Banff National Park.